I'm making another coat out of wool double cloth. You can see the beautiful fabric I purchased behind me. I'm not going to show the full process because I already did that in my other video, but I am going to show you the new things I'm doing with this one. One of which is making reversible inseam pockets, and the other thing I'm going to change is the width of the collar so that I can kind of buckle it in front of me. The first thing that's different is I'm using wool that has a pattern, and I want it to be symmetrical, so I'm lining everything up so that when I cut it, the two sides are mirrored. I forgot how exhausting it is to cut through what is essentially 4 layers of wool, but we're getting through it. And the other thing I'm changing actually is I'm splitting the back in half so I can make a slit, or like a vent kind of. I'm going to demonstrate on this piece of scrap how I'm going to do the pockets. So I marked off the seam allowance. I sewed the shape I want my pocket to be. Usually it's like this, but I wanted to follow the natural, gridding of the squares, I guess. I'm going to snip right here. Then I'm going to split the two fabrics inside this pocket area, fold in where I snipped, and then I'll show you the next steps. And here's a reminder why it's called double cloth. It's literally 2 pieces of cloth stitched together, and I'm just cutting the thing that's connecting the pieces in here. Okay, sorry, it's nighttime. Now I have opened up the whole interior of where I sewed. That was actually a huge pain. Then I'm going to fold both of these edges inwards, add a lining piece. I'll sew up here so things don't fall out. And then this will be a complete pocket. So that's it, which I think this is like a pretty clever way to make an inseam pocket on double cloth. And then I'll show you how I join the pieces together with like the body and the back and stuff. And I actually learned that technique from this 1997 edition of Threads. The author of the article is Mary Elliott. I don't think I can show the actual article because magazines are copyrighted, but it's the cloth with no wrong side. And I really think it's such a creative technique. I had to go on eBay and find this so I would be able to use it for myself. Here's all my pattern pieces. I think this is gonna look really cool. I'm probably gonna do the pockets first on my final fabric and then sew up the rest of the coat. My lovely assistant is helping me reference my old coat for pocket placement on my new coat. So the pockets are going to be on the side of the new coat, which means I need to put them over here. So I'm going to line it up to about where this one is. Maybe I'll bring it up a little bit, and then I will mark where I want the pocket to be. Thank you. Okay, here I have my pocket traced out. I'm going to do it on the other side. I'm going to follow along with what I'm about to do, not in video format. You can screenshot. This is the whole process for how we're going to make the pockets. Just note they're not going to be reversible because if you do that, I think you have to have like a hole also going into the coat, and I don't want that, but you'll see. I know it's going to be a bit hard to see, but I sewed, here's the zoom out and then zoom in. All the way around, we're killing 2 birds with 1 stone. So I'm going to do my edging, like my hems, but I sewed all the way around, gonna hem the bottom, the join for the sides, and then when the pocket comes, I sewed like this. So this side doesn't have, it's not sewed down, okay? Does that make sense? All right, this is my pocket, sewed all the way around. I'm gonna show you what we're gonna do here. We're gonna split open this area right here. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna snip here and here on the opening of the pocket, split this open, and then I'm gonna split this whole interior of the pocket so I can stick my hand in there. Show you what this process actually looks like. So I have to peel the pocket open to the 2 double face layers, and then you see this? These little connecting threads. You just snip them, you kind of manhandle it open. This is a very long and arduous process, but I'll do it for both pockets and then report back. Okay, the whole pocket is open now. I'm going to do the other one as well. This is my back panel. I sewed my seam allowance and I opened this seam up. So I have my back panels and my front panels right sides together. This is where the pocket is. Hi, Odie. I flipped the front panel back right side up for a minute because we don't want to sew the pocket also by accident. So I am folding in this seam allowance that we clipped, and then I'm going to pin it all the way down. Now with my right sides together, I have the front piece on the bottom, there's the pocket, and the back piece. And what I'm doing is I'm clipping both edges of the front piece and this the bottom flap of the back piece together, and then I'm going to sew down. Front panel, back panels, these will be joined with a slit. I'll show you that. Front panel. And I'm going to sew. I'm going to gently press this seam open on the right side. Let's flip it. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim down this side here that I sewed together, all 3 of these layers. I'm going to trim that seam down, and then I'm going to press this over. Blurry. That seam is trimmed down, and now I'm going to press this over, then I'm going to fold it and sew. I also pressed my pocket seam allowance inwards, and I'm going to, this whole edge is open, but you know, your stuff will fall right out. So I'm going to whip stitch up to like here. Don't be blurry. So that my hand can still fit in, but my things will be secure in the pocket. And then before I do that, I will add a pocket lining probably, even though I like what the inside looks like. This may be hard to see, but here we're at the bottom of the garment. We need to sew up the sides, which I'll show you, but we also need to hem this. So this is going to be a little hard to show, but what I need to do, I split the seam here. I split the seam here on the back and the front piece, and then I clipped this here, so it's still attached where we sewed it. And I'm going to fold both of these edges in. I'm going to fold both of these edges in. And this top flap, I'm going to fold the bottom as if to hem it. And I'm going to fold it on itself. And then I'm going to whip stitch all of that together. And then I'll go and I'll hem the rest of it. But I'm just doing the sides for now, so I kind of need to do both, right? So I'll hem everything so that this part's all tucked in. And then I'm going to sew up and I'll show you. Another thing I want to mention is that I'm using a curved needle just for ease, and I'm beeswaxing my thread while I'm hand sewing so that it doesn't get all tangled up. It still will, but this helps. All right, now we start the arduous process of folding this over itself and then whip stitching all the way across. All right, so this is just in case you don't know how to do a whip stitch. My thread's coming out of here. I'm going to pick up from down here. I'm going to go diagonally. And then I'm going to pull all the way across. And then I'm going to keep doing that like this, and it'll create straight stitches all the way across. And here's the inside of our finished seam. I decided to put this on the wrong side this time, but the coat will be reversible. Okay, ignore the fact that all these demos look kind of sus, but this is how I'm going to be joining my back pieces so that I have a slit. For the life of me, I couldn't figure out how to add a vent, like a proper one, to an unlined coat, so we're doing this the hacky way. So I split both seams of both the back panels. I'm going to sew down the 2 interior seams. And then what I'm going to do, I'm just going to trim up to where I want the slit to be. And then I'm going to fold these in like that. Sew that up with a whip stitch or a ladder stitch or something. I won't clip here. I don't know why I clipped this. And then I'll hem these 2 pieces as usual. So it won't overlap like a traditional vent because I just couldn't figure that out. But, you know, I think it'll still serve its purpose. I'm deciding if I want a pop of color for the pocket lining because I have this extra, I think it's silk. So if this is the color I decide on, I'm going to cut 2 pieces to the size of the pocket. Cut out the pocket lining, same size as the pocket. I'm going to sew all the way around other than the opening, and then I'm going to fold the opening outwards and hem it that way because I'll be sewing it onto this interior. So we want the wrong sides to be together. Okay, I'm going to iron these, but I serged the edges. This is just a fold, so I didn't need to. And then I folded this outward twice so that the hem is encased and nothing is raw. The lining is in the pocket. I'm going to sew this all the way around, and then I'm going to whip stitch to here so things don't fall out, and then I'm done. Here's my little subterranean pocket, and then I'll show you the final jacket. Okay, we got our double button cuff sleeves, buttons on the side, little button placket to hide. I'll do the whole thing. Here's the whole jacket. Ooh. Do a little vent in the back. And so I did end up changing them. I sewed it up here because I didn't like how it gaped, and I opened it up here. But we have our little subterranean pockets with the little lining and these beautiful buttons. Let me show you up close. They have a beautiful little face on them. I couldn't resist getting specialty buttons for the pockets. I might redo the lining, it's a little messy. But that's it. That is the final This guy has not been leaving me alone. This is the final jacket. Here's the pocket. You can see how it's literally in the fabric of the coat. This is the top lining of the double cloth, and this is the bottom, not lining, layer, and that's it. I think they're perfect.